Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. The tsunami, the Japanese earthquake, the biggest earthquake in 140 years. Well, 140 years ago, it takes us back precisely to about 1870, which is the tail end of this period of constant destabilization of Europe by the various Marx, Mazzini, and Bakunin networks that got going in grand style in 1848. We'll talk about 1848 in just a minute as a model for what's happening right now. But it's generally a worldwide destabilization, and promoted, of course, by the Anglo-American intelligence community. And make no mistake about this. The country's playing the China card once again to get out from under the U.S.-British yoke. Pakistan, Libya, Afghanistan under Karzai. The Russia card, the Bandar faction in Saudi Arabia, as became obvious in August of 2009 after 3 or 4 meetings between Bandar and Russian President or Prime Minister Putin. The Saudis were playing the Russian card to diminish their reliance on an Obama administration that already had color revolutions written all over it. You even had my book coming out in March, April of 2008, Obama the Postmodern Coup, which is all about the policy of the new regime, which is the color revolution. Italy, under Berlusconi, playing the Russian card through the South Stream pipeline and close economic relations. Germany, even under Merkel, playing the Russian card through the Nord Stream pipeline, direct gas from Russia down the Baltic and into Germany. No chance for anybody to cut off the spigot. Gaddafi, of course, had also been playing the Belarus card, but you get the idea. If you've got a situation where Egypt, Lebanon, Turkey, Bahrain, Iraq, Pakistan, Libya, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Italy, Germany are seeking various ways to get out from under the Anglo-American suffocating yoke, that is a crisis of the empire. That is basically a partial collapse of the empire. Now, for people out there who have been misled by libertarian doctrine spread by the Cato Institute, financed by the Koch brothers, the only institution that can resist these tendencies is the nation state. If you're against the nation state, whatever you think you're doing, you're helping, you're carrying water to the mill of the British and the U.S. as they attempt to go for what amounts to the New World Order. The New World Order you've heard about is this. It's the New World Order, which basically says the old empire, in order to exist, can no longer tolerate even semi-autonomous satrapies. We've got to have the flattening of everything across the world into regionalization, warlords, balkanization, partition, subdivision, and all the rest of it. So everybody is so impotent that they can never resist J.P. Morgan Chase, Exxon Mobil, and so forth. Other goals in this, to kick the Chinese out of Africa. One of the things we see is the Anglo-Americans have absolutely nothing to offer. What do they offer? They talk about free trade, the world of the World Trade Organization, the Washington Consensus, the race to the bottom, deregulation, privatization, union busting, the destruction of your state sector, the destruction of your social safety net, the immiseration of everybody for the benefit of Wall Street and the City of London. That's what free trade and free market ideology means in practice. People don't like that. And then, of course, if you go with the Anglo-Americans, they're also going to destabilize you if you get uppity. China is much better. China says real development 50-50, and we don't care about your internal political arrangements. That's obviously very attractive to a lot of people in Africa. Why is Mugabe under attack? Why is Ivory Coast? You can just figure in every one of these cases, it's because they want to kick the Chinese out. Another goal is to defend the dollar as a result of the $4 trillion pumped by the Bernanke Fed and the Paulson-Geithner Treasury Department into the Wall Street zombie banks to try to stabilize their $1.5 quadrillion of derivatives, now followed by QE2 of Bernanke, another $600 billion. The dollars are sloshing around all over the world. What do you do about that? How do you prevent the fall of the dollar from preventing various, impelling various central banks to start diversifying out of the dollar. Well, one thing you do, and this is what they did in 2010, a massive attack on the euro. You can't make the dollar look good, but you can make the euro look very bad, and the dollar then looks a little bit better in comparison. So the attack on the euro, now that was stopped by what? By China coming in basically on the side of Europe to buy up these assets, and by the Germans stopping certain forms of derivatives, credit default swaps, naked shorting with them. The prospect of a war with Iran has been used to jack up the oil price and hold out the specter that if you attack Iran, the Iranians themselves would close Hormuz, and that would solve the problem because oil would go to $500 a barrel, the dollar would be stabilized, industry around the world would be destroyed, but Wall Street doesn't care about that. They care about the dollar. They care about finance, paper, not about real economy in any way. And now the third thing that they've done is this orgy of destabilizations. As soon as this reaches Egypt, is already 1% of the world oil supply, with Italians doing the development there, and then Libya, another 2%. So this now gives the speculators carte blanche to go wild in speculation. It doesn't really take an actual supply crisis, a cutoff. It's just the headlines, the brouhaha that can be used by the speculators in these index future markets, the London Intercontinental Exchange, to jack it all up. So here we have this wide assault on the existing forms of political organization all across the world. It's funny that in the middle of all this, the goal is supposed to prevent the collapse of U.S.-British domination, but in the middle of it, the empire is weak enough so that vacuums, power vacuums, are emerging, sort of bubbles. One bubble is over the southern Mediterranean, where the U.S. refuses to go in with a Bay of Pigs Phase 2 operation to attack Gaddafi, or at least so far has been reluctant. And instead we see this crazy atavistic rebirth of the Suez 1956 coalition, the British and the French, the neo-colonialists, the neo-imperialists, the adventurer Sarkozy in particular, we'll talk about him, threatening to go in something that is really radically anti-historical. This kind of stuff went out more than 50 years ago. We also have an ideological crisis in the U.S. because after a decade of 9/11 propaganda, Islamophobia, we had it around this mosque in New York, the Islamophobia campaign, the global war on terror campaign, and now, in the middle of this, it's a shift to say, oh, the Muslim Brotherhood are the good guys. We love the Muslim Brotherhood. We love the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. We love them especially in Libya. They're the ones who dominate the Cyrenaica eastern area that's rebelling against Gaddafi. Long live the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, Stalin could do that. When Stalin made his Hitler pact, he could do it because he's a totalitarian in a relatively open society. Very hard to do that. People are getting very confused. Who is the enemy? We'll be back in a minute.